you are now. How's he doing it with no hands? About to witness me blowing out my speakers. Because most car speakers can't handle heavy metal. It's true. The treble response. The awesome. Crushing might. Of Knuckle! Welcome, my friends, to a show that apparently, seemingly never ends. Got 3 things to talk about. That's it. 3. And no one gets hurt. In, out, no one gets hurt. Especially if by no one, you mean everyone. Hunt-Miocic and Mark Hunt. The boxing thing with Canelo. And the Stalin-esque disappearance of John Jones. But not before the show intro. I'm on my way back to nowhere. I'm taking a real good look at you. I'm taking a real good look at your face and the road. A beer payback for always nothing. All right. Had to get that here on this wonderful Mother's Day. Mother's Day. I'm hoping you called your mother. It's the only day I say that on, because I don't say that on Father's Day. My tribute on Father's Day is to guys who are fathers like me, not the fathers like I got. So anyway, this is round number 385, 86. I don't remember. But like I said, we got 3 things to talk about. We're going to talk about them. If you want a little emoticon to go with this show, my feelings are, it's a face with a little mouth line that's just completely flat. This is my approximation of it. Now, I'm about to get on the freeway. We'll see you soon. I don't want to crash and do this, even though I can do it with no hands magically. We'll see you soon. All right. So I'm guessing you guys have figured out the more astute students among you, students, apt pupils, to harken back to something from the Care Don't Care preview, have guessed that I do these on Sunday. I'm not actually sitting up, at 12:01 on Monday recording it. There's no point to it. In actual fact, I could have filmed this one yesterday. But I'm doing it on Sunday, so today is Mother's Day. And, I know people have conflicted relationships with their parents sometimes. I'm not going to do like an ABC after school special and advise you to make up to those parents that you despise. If indeed you do despise your mother. If you're a man who despises your mother, you do realize you have to work double time to be decent to the women in your life, right? And if you're a woman who despises your mother, I guess you got to watch out and try to work double time to not be an ass to your daughter. I don't know. These are complicated family relationships. And as you know, I don't have complicated relationships. People think, oh, Eugene's his damn artistic, complicated soul. I have very simple, streamlined relationships, very simple ones. You ever see that movie Lifeboat with Tallulah Bankhead? I believe it's called. I get it confused with another one, but it's a Ship of the Fool, Ship of the Damned. There are all these, but I think it's Lifeboat, which I'm almost 95% sure it is. And my whole approach to reality is very much like Lifeboat, you know. Or I'll give you a better example. When I interviewed Kevin Weeks, Whitey Bulger's Boston Irish Mafia cat, for the Fight book, Fighter, Everything You Ever Want to Know About Asking But Afraid to Get You Asking for Asking, the book I've written, Fight. He was talking about having problems with some drug dealers, you know, and he you know, it was ride or die. He picked some guy to ride with him. So we're gonna go over there, well, whatever. I'm just gonna make up a name. We're gonna go over to Winter Park and talk to these guys. So he goes, oh yeah, sure, Kev, I'll go with you. So they go over and they start to talk to these guys about they don't want dealing in the neighborhood. You know, I'm not gonna double. Yeah, I'm not doing any fact checking with Kevin. This is what he said. I've got no other option except to believe him. You know, I don't know whether or not he said, the proviso, unless you cut us in. I don't know any of that happened. All I know is what he told me, which was, I don't want you guys drug dealing. And the guy started giving a little lip, you know, like as sometimes people want to do. And Kevin was pretty handy with the hands. He was in the Fight book because he was like a Golden Gloves boxer, or, you know, at least a regional boxing fighter of some significance, as well as a martial artist. And in any case, rather than beat the guy up, because he didn't have time for all that, he pulls out a gun and shoots the guy in the leg, you know. And he says, you know, next time I come out, you know, I'm not going to be so nice, you know, or some such thing that, you know, that gets people's attention. And he gets in the car with this cat that he had come with, and the guy is like flipping out. Kevin is telling me this story as we're driving around. The guy is like flipping out, like, oh, Kev, oh shit, Kev, yeah, Kev. And then Kevin tells me, he says, so I say to the guy, I said, hey, are you okay? And the guy's like, oh yeah, fine, Kevin, I'm bad, oh God, I'm bad, I know. And then he says, are you okay? And then the guy heard the intonation. He heard what he was meant to hear at that point in time, and what he heard largely because he was actually listening. And what he heard was, "You better be okay," you know, or like in Lifeboat, you know, when somebody's like not doing too well, and they all start giving each other these silent glances, you know. And these glances kind of say it all. Like, you know, there are 10 of us on this boat. You know, we barely have enough food for the 10. If you can't make it, you got to go into the briny deep, my friend. It was like my ex-stepfather did a story on these guys who had gone on some fishing tour, got lost. They ended up in the dinghies. They put the boat on automatic pilot and then jumped into some dinghies to do, and the boat jetted off and they couldn't catch the boat. 3 guys, so they're wading through these swamps and these dinghies, and one guy, you know, they're not paying attention. He says, oh, my leg hurts. They're dragging him in the dinghy, and they're not paying attention. They're just pulling him, and because he's kind of quiet. They've been there like a day now. Turns out the guy's draping his head in the water. He's so dying from thirst in his head that he's drinking the seawater, or at least salt water, wherever they were. And of course, this guy fucking died. He died like in 2 days or 3 days. The other guys, you know, right as the guy died, like the rescue ship shows up, you know. So this has all been a very 5-minute long exegesis on the nature of, you know, you got to hold it together or you got to go. And my reference point for this very specifically is the Stalinist disappearance, even though there was a third thing I mentioned. It's a thing at the top of the hour of John Jones. Did you see the fight last night and see how complete it was? It was like Trotsky. No pictures. There was one brief clip and then one brief mention. That's it. You know? And, you know, there's some people out there, Chris Weidman, curiously enough, is like, hey man, there are temptations, there's stuff that you're seeing that other people are not seeing. People are wanting to, they're wanting to put. And I, if you hang around any professional athlete of any note for any period of time, you see that he's exactly right. But who can you be that you do not know this? Specifically, if you've got older brothers who play professional football. The athletes that get the most groupies, statistically proven, are basketball players. Why? Because you can watch the game right on the court, so access is high. The guys are in pretty good shape, and they're in the market, easy, and you can see them. You know what you're getting. Unless it's a Shaquille O'Neal with a tiny pee-pee story, which is something completely separate, and I don't want to Donna Shalala myself on my own show. So John Jones, should have. I mean, at this point now, this is warmed over stew. The fact that I'm talking about it is only as an intro to the Stipe Miocic and Mark Hunt fight, because it was noticeable to me how effortless. I mean, if you're John Jones and you're sitting at home watching, I could see you suddenly doing something like this. Okay, I actually exist, right? I exist, correct? I mean, I'm here, right? You guys see me? Can you see me? Of course, there's nobody around to see him because the hanger's on very quickly. Ask anybody. The money goes, they go. Follow the money. Where you guys going? So it was complete and an object lesson for anybody who's tempted to think. John Jones said it once after Anderson Silva got knocked. The first time he got knocked out, he goes, "You got to respect the game in the cage and out of the cage," or like Nick Diaz calls it, the dog pen. Fighting in a dog pen. I think Nick Diaz, I love Nick Diaz, but, it's not like his last fight he got held up against the fence a lot. What are you talking about? You care. Ring, cage, what difference does it make? My personal preference is for the Real American Wrestling, where they had in the dome. The platform. They had a platform and then a base that widened out from it. And, you get pushed over the edge like sumo style, you're done. But, that's funny. See, what you see a lot on Mother's Day, you see a lot of fathers out with their kids because they're trying to give moms some free time. What you don't see on Mother's Day are how the mothers spend that free time. And it's a family show. I'm not going to smuttify this early on. So anyway, John Jones is disappeared. Desparacito. Gone. You know what? And people like, greatest all, gone. You know why you're gone? Because we bet millions of dollars on you and you fucking shit on it. That's why. I'm sure Chris Weidman came out and defending, and then it was mindful of how many people, and then I suddenly became mindful of how many people were actually shitting on John Jones, and I felt kind of bad for shitting on John Jones, but it's lifeboat all over again. I do not have patience for guys who are drinking seawater. You have no instinct for self-preservation, you gotta go. Somebody needs to sit down with John Jones and say, "Are you okay?" "Oh, sure, man, I'm fine. I just smoked a little weed, did a little coke. I got that." "Are you okay?" Let him who has ears to hear. I don't think he had ears to hear. That's what the issue with. That's the issue with organizations. With organizations, but you gotta get this straight. With organizations, and we don't get anywhere, as Chuck Dukowski got me to understand. We don't get anywhere without organizations. Without organizations, you know where 100 babies in the field come back in 100 days, 100 dead babies. Human society is based on organization. The individual, we love that John Wayne shit. fantasy. Fantasy. So, like somebody said, oh, some celebrity, oh, I wish, I really miss my anonymity and I just can't, I just, I don't have any privacy. I can't go to the movies or the store. I can't go to the laundromat. I can't go, like you're going all those places anyway. I just can't. And some older celebrity says, you want your anonymity? Do 3 bad movies in a row. Michael Stipe, if you remember the story, a friend of mine saw Michael Stipe in Times Square standing out in front of MTV offices years after their star they'd already quit. They'd already resigned or whatever they do with the band stops. They broke up the band. And so he's there for some reason wearing a big red and white striped cat in the hat and a scarf, leaning against a pole trying to get people to notice him. Michael Stipe, the same guy who was crying on the radio about Vic Chestnut and how I guess he was having money problems. Hey, let me tell you something. If any millionaire friends of mine appear after I die on a radio show or a TV show complaining about Eugene S. Robinson having money problems, you gotta kill those fuckers. Kill them dead. D-E-A-D, dead. You gotta kill them. Don't be a millionaire telling me you could have paid off the note on Vic Chestnut's house without his permission. Just go to the bank. I want to pay off this guy's note. The guy doesn't have to okay it. The bank is like, shit, fuck, whatever. We'll take whatever money you give it. Go ahead. I have to confirm that. I got to talk to Mr. Vacation, Sorrel Academy black belt, who has 2 vacations a month and is a bank president. I guess that's the deal. If you're a bank president, you get 2 vacations a month. Every month. All the time. Mr. Vacation. Those vacations are not going to have themselves. I haven't had a vacation since the 90s. Embrace that. But I had a dream last night. Like Martin Luther were here. If Martin Luther were here, he'd say, hey, Eugene, I have a dream. And that dream was that boxing. That boxing would return to the glory days that the nostalgists who still love boxing imagine it's still happening. And that the imagery in their head of guys chomping on cigars, sitting there in fedoras or trilbies in the third row, looking at the fight. Come on! And their girlfriend sitting next to them with feather boas. Come on, Daddy! Is this fight almost over? Shut up, babe! That shit doesn't exist. So, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. And when you see Denzel Washington sitting there in a sweatsuit with an LA Dodgers cap, know this, that, I don't know, that those nostalgia fumes are only going to get you so far, I mean, I could just go to the Oscars if I want some celebrity appeal, and I don't have to deal with the illusion that boxing is a vibrant. So illusion, Eugene. Look, Canelo against Kirkland. That was a great fight. You know what? Canelo Alvarez is a fucking killer, and he gave James Kirkland an ass kicking, and it was great to see. But you know what? If I went to a restaurant last week, and that restaurant gave me poop last week, I might be kind of touchy about going to any restaurant the next week, much less a restaurant that served the same kind of poop. Now, I'm not saying Canelo Alvarez, guys commenters are like, hey, man, you remind me why I don't like to hear people who don't know anything about boxing talk about boxing. In which case, you'd be very precisely wrong. Yes, I understand that Mayweather fought the fight that Mayweather fights. Nobody who knew anything about his last decade of fights expected it to go any differently. And the hell you say? Everybody expected it to go differently. And no, in other words, you expected Mayweather to be Mayweather, but you thought that Mayweather being Mayweather would somehow, like tofu in food, would somehow be transformed by the fiery Manny Pacquiao, who either did or did not have his shoulder hurt, and who has or has not embraced the reality that he has lost the fight. or is not involved in taking you again for a rematch. You know, do not, ejaculate on my head and tell me it's rain. So, I mean, this is not, look at everybody behind me. They're all going buying flowers for their mom. You know what I gave my mother today? Heartfelt love. That's what I gave. You know, a flower. A flower. My mother's got to clean that stuff up a week later. Come on. I can buy her a vase and some water. Get your own flowers. What you get from me is heartfelt love. Without you, I'm nothing. So anyway, so yes, Canelo-Kirkland was great. I don't care. In fact, the little neutral face, the little neutral emoticon, that's it right there. It could mark my relationship to, you can't, look, baseball figured this out the hard way when that baseball strike. You got Francesco Ciccio Impastato. You don't know him. Not many people do know him. Was a huge baseball fan. And that baseball strike, he said to me specifically, something inside me broke. This is a guy whose father used to take him to the game. His father and his brothers would go to the games. They were like, so, give me some popcorn and apple cracker jacks. This guy loved it. But when it was clear how little the game loved him back, he was gone. You took a 20-year love affair and in one fell swoop, done. People who leave sometimes never come back. It's not just enough to convert new, to get your growth deltas in the positive direction, but you're going to lose people. I'm not jaundiced. I'm not, my face is not a jaundiced face. This is not a product of jaundice. That's not what's happening. Yes, I'm a fight addict, like I say in the fight book. But I respect the game. Unlike Mr. John Paul Jones. John Jones can say, yeah, look, I respect the game too, man, but I got life problems. You know, if I was a carpenter and I had an alcohol problem or, a drug problem, you might have a little sympathy. Yeah, you know what? Alive or dead, guys who are carpenters, man, they got bigger problems than celebrity involvement and TV show appearances. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff you have to do, but that's kind of one of the reasons why you do it. That actor who was talking about, I can't, but the thing, and go back to doing summer stock. What you're really saying is that you missed the journey to get there. You don't actually miss being there. And I can accept that. Getting to where John Jones was, becoming is sometimes a lot better than being. But, I'm about to die in this car, man. And I can't, it's too noisy outside here. So, I'm gonna do a little bit more from the car, but this is I was gonna say something here. How about try that? Because I don't want people hearing my shit. You want to hear the show? You hear the show. I'm doing a show right by a liquor store. I love doing shows by the liquor store because I get to see who's coming to the liquor store at 8 o'clock in the morning. Every time I'm at the liquor store, I see that guy in the store. I was there on Monday. He was there. He was there. What were you doing there? I was there on Wednesday and I saw him there. That guy. Yeah, what? That guy's a total alcoholic. That guy's an alcoholic. So, in other words, I'm not in a position really to be mollified. Mollified. I'm not in a position to have my feelings assuaged. I'm not really feeling that, I don't, like Angel told me, if you got to go back to an older show, as she was writhing around on the floor in that bar on Market Street, to I don't want to go to rehab. I don't trust you. The game. I don't trust you, game. I don't trust you. And with the sheer profusion of don't cares on this card, I'm speaking specifically of the Stipe Miocic and Mark Hunt. Fortunately, there were some people who moved from don't care to care. Always exciting. And the fights in total, exciting. But there was a stink in the house. Kyle Noak, get the fuck out of here. Stop that. I don't know what people saw. I'm really not knowing what the judges saw. It wasn't that friend of Knuckle Up, Daniel Gracie, that this guy took it to him and then lost. But that was some kind of weird regional bullshit. But in general, it's like when I was a kid, my mom wanted to take me to a psychiatrist of some kind, because I'd sit there and there'd be cartoons on, and I'd sit there like this. And she got nervous, She's like, hey, Gene, that's what she used to call me. Only person alive I let do that. I don't care so much for the shortened version of the name. But she goes, these are actually supposed to be funny. And I remember her saying this. I mean, I must have been about 3 or 4. I kind of remember this moment because I remember thinking, I know that. I was already parsing humor from an academic perspective. I was like, the first time the coyote fell off the cliff, that was actually sort of funny. About the 8th time, they're going to have to go a different place with this. So I look at her and I go back to the cartoons and I realize that laughter is somehow a social response that you use to make people around you feel better, I mean that's what I'm thinking was. Hold on, the music has disappeared. This is what I'm thinking, and so I figured out, okay, I make my mother less nervous when I laugh. So I'm sitting at the fights and I'm watching them, and I watched them on Fight Pass. And Fight Pass was kind of glitchy and sort of shitty and kind of put me in a bad day. But I didn't let that bring me down. Out of things I could be doing, what I was doing right before, mowing the lawn and stuff like that, it was much less exciting than that. Much more exciting than the mowing the lawn. But I was unconvinced because I don't trust the game. It's not the game I don't trust. It's the gamers. So I was witnessing and, academically taking note. But this Hunt-Miocic fight was a very strange one. And I got to get out of this car. I'm going to die. Yeah. You know what? There's this whole kerfuffle about Polish involvement in the Nazi death camps. We'll come back with that. I got to get out of the car. I mean, the connection, if you're concerned about the segue, the connection was, I'm about to die in this car. It's very hot. At least it's not a cattle car on the way to Auschwitz. Auschwitz, the recent ambassador being irked that the American politician talked about Poland's involvement, like Poland was somehow complicit. And of course, Poland was slightly complicit, but that's another story. If it's an invaded country, what can you? Anyway, we'll be right back. I got to get out of this car. I'll do the show from the studio. Oh, God. All right. So now it's a place that is slightly more temperature sensitive. And what was the last thing we were talking about? Nazis and Poland. In actual fact, I don't have much on Nazis today, except for the fact that May Brussel, if you're in for some good reading, May Brussel, not Brussels. It's like MAE space Brussel, more like Brussels sprouts, less like the city. She had this great piece on the Nazi connection to the JFK assassination, and I know that sounds like a whole lot of crazy to you, but you have to look at the whole Reinhard Gehlen organization and Nazi operations after World War II. Though I guess we could say, were they really Nazis after World War II? Yeah, it's the problem I always have with neo-Nazis. You're talking about a defeated party, but I don't want to get into that. What I want to talk about is very specifically UFC Fight Night. Let me turn the music down. It will be loud in a second. There were a lot of don't cares on this, like Alptekin Oz Kilik versus Ben Wynn. I mean, I didn't see the fight. It was Fight Pass, but somehow again, I got the time screwed up again, and I think it started at 5. I didn't tune in until 6, so then I also missed Vic Grujic and Brendan O'Reilly. If I didn't care, the fact that I missed them means I don't care even more. Of course, I could have possibly have missed the opportunity to see Wynn and Brendan O'Reilly go from don't cares to cares. And I'm not even going to say somehow I doubt it. I guess the news would have been full of information about it. The post facto Alex Chambers, Kaylin Curran, Dylan Andrews, and Brad Scott. I got in on that fight. Let me see if I can do that face again. That's it, right there. So Beck Rawlings and Lisa Ellis, Beck Rawlings, from the shout out at the single mother thing, she was winning, talking about single moms, and Lisa Ellis. I think we may have cared because of Beck Rawlings, but in the end, let me tell you something. I had a theory about the degradation of fashion, right? Because I always, like in high school, I used to work down the street from Interview Magazine and right on Fifth Avenue. So, I was very much into the fashion. I was always delivering food. I worked for a fast health food restaurant. I was always delivering food to the fashion houses. I've always been slightly tuned into, to fashion. And I had this theory of degradation of fashion because on the one hand, I was picking up magazines like GQ and, fashion magazines. And you could see from conception, to actualization, the whole journey, the fashion life cycle, which amounted to, just pick a fashionable article of clothing. Let's say for a period of time, let's just pick white belts. Let's say white belts. And so you'd see some commercial, some ad, right? It means ad director, stylist, photographers. Everybody had to have this ideation of a white belt as a fashionable clothing item. And they had to get a big check signed by somebody at an ad agency who was in the business of selling white belts. They said, I think white belts are going to, somebody had to make a decision somewhere, maybe Anna Wintour, that white belts were going to be the thing. They make these decisions. I asked a fashion designer once, I'm trying to find a red shirt. Why am I having such a hard time finding a red shirt? They go, well, we've done these studies and red and brown are not going to do it. We have to put this big machinery into play to make this stuff happen. It doesn't make sense to do it. The dollars and cents. It doesn't make dollars or cents. So, but then, so if you see it on the runway, it gets there's a series of thumbs up. Some people kind of like it. And then it gets done in a magazine spread. And then it goes into Barney's or a high price fashion clothier, and it becomes an aspirational item for people further down the food chain. Until eventually the people with money have moved on from white belts. That was so Thursday. And the people who have been sitting around, saving pennies, like the people who got busted at Barney's for doing nothing other than saving their pennies to buy this stuff. This is my first shot against Jay-Z had to do with the fact that they were harassing people for this shit, and the people had done nothing but save for 11. This guy said, I saved for 11 months to be able to buy this belt. Or like they said in The Onion, you can tell from my t-shirt that I am not poor. This guy, if you have to save 11 months to buy a fucking belt, I guarantee you that belt is fooling no one about your financial status. You're a customer, like EPMD says. So you guy buys this, but so it dawned on me that there was a theory of degradation of fashion, much like Albert Speer's theory of ruin. That stuff started out, the conception is very different from the actualization, which is some overweight guy wearing a white belt at Kmart at 2:30 in the morning around his sweatpants and sandals, which in itself could inform the fashion industry where they go, that guy's got it going on. Look at that. What bold visionary is wearing sweatpants, sandals, and a white belt? Fuck. So there is a cycle, but the last people to benefit from the cycle are frequently the people who benefit the least. I say this because thus far in this UFC fight night, my neutrality and my meh-ness about the fight has to do with sometimes you're seeing things that are completely average. And I have to turn around to somebody like John Jones and say, I curse you, John Jones, Red Baron. Curse you, Red Baron, John Jones. I mean, are average fights better than no fights? Just barely. So Beck Rawlins, it's great. Daniel Kelly, Sam Alvey, smiling Sam Alvey, supposedly friends with Daniel Kelly, asked for this fight. He goes, and I thought, if there's anybody who I could elect, most likely to kill themselves in MMA, it would have to be smiling Sam Alvey. You ever I always thought about this with joke bands, the terrible prison of being in a joke band. No matter what's happening in your real life, you got to get on stage. It's like the terrible paradox of the clown. No matter what's happening in your real life, you got to get out there and put on the motley and clown it up. And of course, this clown thing is a mask for all kinds of horror. The guys I know who have the best senses of humor inevitably end up killing themselves. The guy I went to college with, this guy Steve Saida, great sense of humor. I refuse to believe Steve Saida killed himself for about 5 years. It's like, how did that guy kill himself? Man, that guy was a fun-loving, life-enjoying guy. No. If you're familiar with the tap-out guys, Joker has had problems. Joker, you ever hang out with Joker? Joker was a great, great guy. Great guy to hang out with. Super funny. Apparently, Dark Night of the Soul was every night for him. I mean, he's still alive. Joker's still alive. Sam Alvey is next on my list. The smiling thing. Do not be fooled. Sam Alvey, he makes me nervous. And that says a lot. I'm smiling Sam Alvey. And it's so fucking great. Samuel Alvey, and grim-faced Daniel Kelly, put on the card largely. Yeah, he's a 4-time, Olympic judoka, but he's also Australian or New Zealander, your local boy. Got fucked up, Jack. Look, if Sam Alvey is giving this as a present, I want to make money for my friends by fucking them up in exquisite fashion. I didn't really care about this fight, but I care now about Sam Alvey in a way I didn't before because I'm waiting. I'm waiting for the facade to crack. So I'm smiling. I'm waiting for him to lose it. And go watch it again. Watch it again. Watch it again now, knowing what I've told you, and see if you are not. You know what that is? I like that smell. That smell. You know that smell in the morning? It's cat poop. It smells like cat poop. So Daniel Kelly was undefeated prior to, I think, fuck up. And then, of course, Kyle Noak. I'm giving this fight to Jonathan Webb. One, because he spells his name Jonathan and Webb. And two, because Kyle Noak didn't win this fight. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. Somehow in the second round, if you look at, Jeff Sherwood, who generally I like, scored it. If you go to Sherdog, scored it for Noak, but there was some highness going on there. And Jeff Sherwood gave the second round to Noak and the third round to Noak. I don't high. You know, you can't account for what these guys are doing when they're at home. You know, some website, they sent me a link to some website the other day. It's like a one-stop shop for everything you need to completely get high all the time. And it was like, I'd like to get their mailing list and just watch all the little scribbly little rascal writing, you know. Mailing address? Yes. No, what is your mailing address? Yes, I have a mailing address. No, what is it? What is what? Your mailing address. For what? So I can send you your order. I ordered something? Jesus Christ. No, those guys, they should pay whatever they're charging for their illegal, their enabling goods, they should. So then Hunt-Miocic and Daniel Hooker. Daniel Hooker is supposed to be his hot shot. I don't think since I can't even think of since who have I seen a guy who looks so ill-suited for being undefeated. Yeah, I mean, the first guy who came to mind was Keith Jardine, but Keith Jardine was just ungainly and rhythmically. There's a woman I used to have sex with, who I describe as the Keith Jardine of sex. Rhythmically, she was just fuck up. You you try to get a stroke rhythm, and then it would be like, and they've done a test with people where it was like, and a pest, and a pest, and a pest, and a pest. They kind of, the pentonic scale, the kind of poetry thing with the rhythmic thing, and it just like B, A, B, A, B, A, B, it was always a stutter step. So Daniel Hooker, my God, and yet he won. I mean, this is precisely the kind of guy. He is a guy. He's a gift. He's got everything. He's got all the makings of a good gift, and still undefeated. Daniel Hooker got Hunt-Miocic. I was actually sort of excited for Hioki because I thought, man, this guy's a grappling great, and I'm always thinking about Kid Nate. And I think this kid, he'd be happy to, but head kick, or actually it was a neck kick, and then punches round two. Hioki did not know where the fuck he was. It was one of those. And then Jake Matthews and James Vick. Of course, James Vick, the Texecutioner, which I like. That was the guys. You know what? I know these guys in there, and they get booed by the local fans, and they're all like, "I love Australia." I can get somebody in this. Do you understand anything about how the Australian mind works? If they like you, they pick on you mercilessly. This kind of ingratiating American stuff, they hate that stuff. You got to get in there, and I'd say, I love Australia. Nowhere in the world do I come where my testicles are more gently massaged than they are by you Australians. You just know how to juggle my nuts in the exact right way, and for that I praise you, Australia. Yeah, they would have loved it. Hey, look, I could help. So James Vick, there was a lot of anticipation for this fight. I thought it was boring. I didn't care. I didn't care about the guys before. I didn't care about them after. However, seeing an appearance of, hey, isn't that guy the guy who beat the rape charge? Team Irvin? I don't give a shit. I say whatever I want. The fuck are you gonna do? I'm in Mike Tyson land on that stuff. Some guy. It hasn't happened yet, but I anticipate some guy. Yeah, man, you talk tough. You get your computer on your little video show. You come down to. Let me tell you something. You real life tough guys. Your little black belt. I'll take that shit and wrap it around your neck. You know why? Because I'm not about rolling around on the ground with you guys if you're better than me. If you're better than me, I'm going to shoot you in the face. Did I just say that? I'm a little tired. I've not been sleeping. I got all caught up in a walk among the tombstones last night. You ever think it's strange that Liam Neeson is doing all these movies that are essentially meditations on death? It's like, hey man, your wife is dead. She had a skiing accident. You guys were like in Biarritz. You know? Act like you're all deep and dark. I know it's probably upsetting. Every day you look at your kids and they don't have a mother. It's Mother's Day, they don't have a mother. She bumped her head skiing. But, you know, why don't you do a jolly movie? Do a comedy. Liam Neeson needs to back away from the gun movies. Taken 1, 2, 3. Yes, I enjoyed those movies, but, you know, A Walk Amongst the Tombstones, good title. It reminds me of that book about Sergio Leone, which is great. It's a great book, but it's called, what is it called? I got it right here. Something About Death. Another great title. But anyway, so then the first fight that I really cared about was Anthony Perosh and Sean O'Connell. So Anthony Perosh, Sean O'Connell, and Kid Nate, if you watch a Carry Don't Care preview, live, no less. We all liked Anthony Perosh because of his, somehow there was a goofy factor. We all appreciated the goofiness. How do you like that? You know, at some point, the Carry Don't Care preview, the Carry Don't Care preview is just going to be us just, you know, that guy, he's got a funny name. We like a guy because he's goofy. Well, plus he's 42. Plus he keeps surprising. You know, he's at home. I mean, so far, the outing for outside of Kyle Noak robbing Webb, you know, it's been kind of a mixed bag for fighters from down under who are thinking about, you know, seats for their mothers, for their brothers, showing off for the high school, whatever. So Perosh comes out and radio DJ, you know, Sean O'Connell's made it hard for me probably to say that I will, like I used to issue a standing challenge to anybody in the media. And then Joe Rogan kind of laughed me. And then Sean O'Connell is like, these are tough guys, man. Where am I in the pound for pound ranking with, you know, MMA journalists? As long as I can keep beating the guys who win for MMA Journalist of the Year, I'm okay. But the second you get an MMA Journalist of the Year who I can't beat, I think we all know I'll be aflame by then anyway. So that's immaterial. However, let me tell you something pretty exciting. You guys don't notice because it's outside the fence because we see the statistics, but I'm going to put a link up. I'm going to put a link up under the article. You know, like if you read this, it's changed every week. The intro stuff for the show. And the link that'll go up this week will be actually a link to the most violent prisoner in Britain, which is now the third most read article on Ozzy of all time. You can see where I'm going with this. I don't ask a lot for you guys. I don't ask a lot at all. But what I'm asking now is to share, read, click, forward, post on your pages, tweet this article out because I'm gunning for having the most violent prisoner in the UK, the article I wrote about Charles Salvador, be the #1 most read article of Ozzy of all time. I tell you, if you do this for me, I might reconsider burning myself to death on round number 251, which is thus far steady as she goes since I have not been nominated as MMA Journalist of the Year. And in actual fact, I'm not. There's a category like Brent Brookhouse should probably be MMA Journalist of the Year. He's had a good year as far as I'm concerned. It's not what I'm doing necessarily. I'm MMA Commentator of the Year. Except if you say Commentator of the Year, then that puts me in the same category with a Mike Goldberg, who I'm now going to start calling Mark Goldberg. Why? Just to be an asshole. All right, Jim Rogan, glad to see you, man. Really nice to. All right. Dan White. Oh, Dana, I'm sorry. How long do you think I could do that before somebody punched me in the face? I don't know. So then Brad Tavares and Robert Whitaker, you know, Kid Nate and I cared about Tavares because, you know, Heaven Must Be Missing an Angel was a great song. and I'm glad to see the guy bounce back from the disco era, 70s, but he got fuck up as well. Fuck up is me channeling Leopoldo Dream Crusher Serrao. What do you say? We cared about the fight. I had no picks. I don't believe I picked Tavares, but he got put away. If you can, there is a benefit to what I like to call a Vitor. If you remember Vitor, his first fight that I saw him fight was against Vanderlei Silva, and he just bull rushed. If you remember the studies they have with guys with guns and guys with knives, cops are always in these studies. I know a guy who was teaching this knife fighting class. Cops will always choose a gun, and then realize backing up that they can't keep their wits about them enough so that they can draw their gun, pull their gun, fire their gun before they've been stabbed to death. It's not the weapon so much, it's the motion, the aggressor. Sometimes it's rewarded. You have to have a guy who's very good at stand-up to be able to defend against an onslaught. So that was a big surprise. In fact, I know I promised that some people would move from don't care to care. In my mind, Jonathan Webb, he's now a care for me. Jonathan Webb, Smiling Sam Alvey for all the wrong reasons is now a care. Anthony Peroche has moved for me from care to don't care. And then Mark Hunt versus Stipe Miocic. Well, first of all, you have to know that no Australian ref was going to stop. People are talking about when, it's like, when should this fight have been stopped? There were several times, like in the fourth round, where Miocic is like kind of looking at the ref. You got to know that no freaking Australian judge is going to stop this fight. And let me tell you something, it was this kind of sadistic, Rene Girard, in this book that he's written called The Violence and the Sacred, talks about us having a periodic sacrificial crisis. In Western culture, we have these sacrificial crises in which the community has to expiate its sins through the sacrifice of a Judas, sacrificial lamb. I was going to say Judas goat, sacrificial lamb. So, so periodically, you get like somebody who absorbs a lot of punishment is what I'm saying. So we feel better about ourselves. And I think that was, I was talking to somebody, I think it was Dream Crusher Serrao. He goes, he said something fairly perceptive for a guy who's a sadistic lunatic. He said, look at Mark Hunt over the course of his career. I mean, Mark Hunt didn't get to his win-loss ranking by accident. Sometimes he shows up, and sometimes he just doesn't show up. The way he was standing and dropping the hand that his guard hand, which he should have kept. Don't give me a hard time, you boxing guys. You know what I'm talking about. The way he was holding it low, inviting. I mean, he was going to try to counter off of that maybe, but after a certain point where you got pasted, I don't know. I'm not saying he was off. I'm saying he was 42. Like Root Boy Slim said, look in the mirror. Didn't look 42. All that shaking and sweating. Must have come unglued. My wig fell off. Hand my toupee to me. I'm quitting the disco, y'all. I'm almost 43. Yeah, he should have at some point. UFC execs are saying that the fight could have been stopped earlier. Miocic is looking at the ref for the fourth round. It's like, hey, you're gonna those were patty cake shots, but it's not like a guy should have to get his brains knocked out. And he's trying to give him a chance so he doesn't look bad. He's saying to Hunt during it, like, you got to do something, man. In other words, what he's saying is, don't make me look bad for giving you a chance to look. I've got a picture of him looking at the ref saying, Jesus Christ, stop this fucking thing. There's a pictures. Of course, Miocic, this is like, soccer player, the guy. Oh, look, he's hurt. I remember my first jiu-jitsu competition, the guy is telling the ref, he's out, ref, he's out. I say to the ref, I'm not out. Which made the guy who was choking me very angry. And of course, then he choked me to death. Okay, now he's out. Oh man. Somebody's trying to poison me. My stomach is killing me. Killing me. So anyway, I don't know. I mean, what do you say about that fight? What do you say? What do you say and how do you say it? There's nothing. This is why I get the face. This is why I get the... I mean, you know, I already knew, you know, I already knew that Mark Hunt's a tough guy. You know? Already knew that. So at the end of the fight, I mean, where do we stand? You know, where do we stand? Where do we stand now with? Why do we stand? Where do we stand now with MMA? Oh, you know, MMA is a girlfriend that you're super conflicted about, but you're okay with her kind of sticking around. I mean, that's like, hey, you want to go out Friday? Yeah. You sure? That's okay, maybe we'll go. You know, what do you say? What do you say? Mark Hunt's 42. And Dream Crusher Zarrell said, you know, you ever think it's okay to do this shit when you're 20? You know, Mark Hunt's probably in there worried about money, man. The hell? Shit, I'm 42. I got bills. The hell am I gonna, you know? Okay, let me get this straight. Okay, if I, you know, who knows? Who knows what was going through his head? But he did something that's rare. He made Stipe look bad. How does Stipe look bad? Because it's like, yeah, he took a lot of punishment, but yeah, he didn't put him away. I don't think Cain Velasquez is sitting at home going, oh my God, Stipe opened the door, first of all, used his typically, traditionally unused wrestling. So Cain's sitting, okay, check, got that. And then once he got him with the ground and pound, couldn't put him away. Yeah, Mark Hunt is a very tough guy. But Mark Hunt is not above tapping on the ground with some bombs on his face. I don't think Cain Velasquez is out there worrying about Mark Hunt. And I don't think Cain Velasquez is seeing himself going 5 rounds with Mark Hunt. I don't think Cain Velasquez at this point now is seeing himself go 5 rounds with Stipe. So I love Hunt-Miocic, but this fight did him no favors. And it did Mark Hunt no favors. And at the conclusion of this fight night, I'm like, I wonder what's going on with Metamoris. And then you go to Metamoris, and the problem is revealed with Metamoris. Right? Oh, Jesus Christ. Living with animals. You know, Clark Gracie, draw. Ribeiro and Keenan Cornelius, draw. You have to get an MMA fighter in the mix to make things sort of interesting. Joe Lazan gets beaten by Bravo. Okay. Chael Sonnen and Renato Sobral. Oh, right, cool. Draw. Josh Barnett and Hiram Gracie. Now that is interesting. Because Barnett won. Strike another blow for Catch Wrestling. Yay. Anyway, the show was done. The issue of my testicle has improved. The quality of my injured testicle, which is the right testicle, has improved. Good for me, good for the world. So concludes round number. However, the testicle issue has shifted to the stomach thing. I'm being poisoned by whom I do not know. The stomach is very uneasy. But in any case, the show is concluded. This is round number 366. I will see you next week. Look what you made me do!